execute up to step 2.
The vehicle remaining docked to the Piers docking compartment there is the Progress resupply vehicle. It delivered about 2,000 pounds worth of cargo and equipment to the International Space Station when it arrived.
Titans, we have about 1 minute in this compass. A reminder, at 7:20:00, do not forget to activate the accelerometer and be ready for descent by the time of our next compass. I will be standing by on the S-band for you in case there are any questions, so do not hesitate to call. Thank you.
And the external cameras on the International Space Station, guided by the Communications and Tracking Officer here in Mission Control, picking up a good view of the Soyuz spacecraft containing Yury Lonchakov, Mike Fincke, and Charles Simonyi as they back away from the International Space Station to an altitude slightly higher than that of the International Space Station, separating after the first separation burn occurred at 10:58 p.m. Central Time. Soyuz has been docked to the zenith or space-facing port of the Zarya control module since it arrived, carrying Fincke, Lonchakov, some 6 months ago. Yeah, this is Mission Control Houston, and we're continuing to look at some views of the Earth below from the external cameras on the International Space Station as it orbits over the northern Pacific on a southeasterly track, now separated from the Soyuz spacecraft, bringing the Expedition 18 crew and spaceflight participant Charles Simonyi home. The Landing of the Soyuz formally started with the hooks driving open and springs imparting some initial velocity to the spacecraft to push it away from the International Space Station. A first separation burn was fired at 10:58 p.m. Central Time, imparting about just under a meter per second of velocity to the Soyuz to raise it into a higher orbit. Coming up soon will be the deorbit burn of the Soyuz's propulsion system, which will begin slowing the Soyuz and start its re-entry. That coming up at 1:24 a.m. Central Time tomorrow. This is some animation that shows that deorbit burn occurring using the propulsion segment of the Soyuz spacecraft. The crew is housed in the center section here, the habitation module on the top, the descent module in the middle. The sections will separate as the spacecraft begins descending toward the Earth's atmosphere. Crew will remain inside the descent module and reach atmospheric entry about 1:53 a.m. Central Time. Separation scheduled for 1:50 a.m. Central. Crew in the spacecraft will reach their maximum dynamic pressure loads, maximum G loads, at about 1:59 a.m. Central Time, and commands to open the parachute will drive at about 2:01 a.m. Central Time, and then it will begin drifting slowly to a landing scheduled for 2:16 a.m. Central Time, 1:16 p.m. Kazakh time, as the two-tiered set of parachutes begin the initial slowing of the descent, and then rocket engines firing at the last minute to soften the landing on the Kazakh steppes. Right now we are standing by for what we're hoping to be some replays from the high-definition cameras looking out the windows of the International Space Station as the Soyuz departs.
And you can hit play.
Copy that.
And also, Koichi, just FYI, we're configuring RSA-1 back to public 1 at this time.
Okay.
Our coverage of today's Soyuz undocking scheduled to end at 11:15 p.m. Central Time, but as we were anticipating this replay of the space station view, we'll go ahead and stick with the coverage. And now here's the physical separation of the Soyuz from the International Space Station, which once again occurred at 10:55 p.m. Central Time.
Thank you very much, Mark.
Again, this is a replay of the departure of the Soyuz spacecraft carrying Expedition 18 Commander Michael Fincke flight engineer Yury Lonchakov, who's also the Soyuz commander for this descent, and spaceflight participant Charles Simonia, who rode up to the space station with Expedition 19 commander Gennady Padalka, and flight engineer Mike Barrett,